All right. Welcome, everybody. My name is Mary Farias. Most of you know me. And welcome to the Economy Creators Workshop. I am super excited to be doing this because this has come with this is a product of a lot of clarity and seeking for clarity on how I want to present this information and this material to you. Because in November, I committed to myself to doing a monthly challenge or workshop and for the next year for 2026. And so my 2026 started in December and it started with the Economy Creators Challenge, which was a 5-day event the first week of the month. But now I have whittled it down to 3 days, but this is because I want to refine it a little bit more. I've gotten a lot of clarity in the last couple months, and I'm excited about this. So I hope that you brought your pens and your notebooks and you brought your thinking caps because oh good, Medora's holding her pen up. She's like, I'm an A+ student. So there we go. I love it. So I want everybody in the chat just type in a one if you've ever really created an economy for yourself, if you feel like you're an economy creator, and a two if you're like, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I want to be, kinda, but I don't know. So a one if yes, I am an economy creator, and two if I don't know. LA, you don't have to do anything because you're driving. We've got twos and ones and twos. All right, all right, all right. So, an economy creator to me is someone who creates an economy around their unique interests, experiences, and talents. And I'll give you an example from my life. I was a gymnast forever. 37 years of my life, I was a gymnast until we closed our gym. But I started off as a gymnast first. And then my first job was a gymnastics coach, when I was 16. And then hi, Cindy, thank you. And when I graduated from college, I was a gymnast in college. And then I went, much to my mom's chagrin, because I didn't use my degree, I became the program director at a local gymnastics center. And so gymnastics was really what I was following for such a long time. And then fast forward 10 years or so, we had our daughter, and I wasn't in the gym at this point. And huh, I was holding my daughter, and I looked at my husband. I said, "Where's she going to do gymnastics?" And we opened a gym. So that was everything was gymnastics, gymnastics, gymnastics. And then I wanted to start a publishing company, and so I wrote gymnastics books in my publishing company. And so everything kind of revolved around gymnastics, which was my unique interest and experience and talent, really. And what I found, though, as I was coaching gymnastics, was that I wasn't just coaching the sport, I was coaching people. I was helping them in their self-development, teaching them how to believe in themselves and really move forward with things that were scary out of their comfort zones and things that they didn't necessarily know that they could do for themselves. And that translated perfectly into um, consulting for you all because um, what's it ripped me out of my comfort zone because COVID hit and our gym slowed down so much because it had to. And we were at this crossroads, my husband and I, because we opened the gym together. And we were at this crossroads and we could rebuild what we had for the last 9 years, or we could veer off and do something completely different. And not completely different, but not gymnastics related. And so I became a Proctor Gallagher consultant, and I just went all in. And we closed the doors to our gym and started doing this. And so, long story short, my economy has evolved throughout my life as my interests and my experiences have evolved. But there's been threads throughout, leadership, leading by example, teaching, those types of things, personal development and growth. Those are all things that have been threads throughout my life. And so this Economy Creators Workshop is about understanding three pieces that I have found through my experience, but also in talking to other economy creators and those who are making it happen in their lives and in their economies, that there are three aspects to economy creation. And the first one is what we're going to talk about today, and that's leading ourselves. And what leading ourselves looks like is understanding that we have this self-image and we have to improve upon our self-image to continue to grow. So we have to see ourselves as a leader of our economy. We have to see ourselves as the center of our universe in order for us to act like it, right? We have to exercise decision making. We have to be good decision makers. We have to know where we want to go. We have to have this desire, and we have to really feel it and feel like it's propelling us forward. We need to understand that we can't just run amok with our emotions. We have to regulate those. We have to use our intellectual faculties and temper those emotions that may cause us to react in certain situations. We have to exercise, like I said, intellectual control with our intellectual faculties too. So those intellectual faculties not only control our emotions, but they control how we think about things. And when we when we really go in deeper into understanding our intellectual faculties, we really become unstoppable. And then, of course, paradigms. Bob Proctor talks about paradigms, and we have to realize that if we want to get up here, we have to shift our paradigm that's keeping us down here. So that is all inherent in our personal growth and development. And of course, faith. We need to build faith. We need to understand that there are principles that are governing everything, and we have to use those to our advantage rather than our disadvantage. So today I'm going to take you through a process of understanding whether or not you are leading yourself in a way that will help you expand your economy. And then tomorrow we'll go into leading your economy. And then on Thursday, we'll talk about leading other people. So those are the three steps: leading ourselves, leading our economy, and leading others. So today, leading ourselves really sets the foundation. It's what I call the mental economy, because it really starts in the mind first. In fact, we have a course called Mind First, and it's so important to understand that this is a mental universe. This universe is driven by people's thoughts and feelings, really, first and foremost, because consciousness is all there is. Everything is here and in this conscious world. And so that might seem like it sounds pretty big and hairy and scary, that our thoughts are creative. But once you begin to, one, understand that, and two, learn how to redirect and harness the laws and our intellectual faculties so we can begin to think the thoughts that will help move us forward rather than think the thoughts that hold us back, we become unstoppable, like I said. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to share my screen, because I'm going to stick this in the chat again. So what I'm sticking in the chat is this workbook that I am going to share my screen with. So I'm sharing this screen, And this is the workbook that you will have for the week. So, the first thing that we do is talk about leading ourselves. And so, what we're doing is really taking an objective look at how we are actually leading ourselves. We might say, well, I've studied personal development forever. I know what I'm talking about. I know this stuff. But as Bob Proctor points out in Thinking into Results, lesson two, there's this knowing doing gap, which means we can gather all the information, we can we can learn it all, we can go on YouTube. It's pretty much all there. But do we apply it? Do we do it? Right? And these books, Science of Getting Rich, Think and Grow Rich, Psycho-Cybernetics, Thomas Troward, um, U Squared, all of these books are magnificent. But the power in them is only potential power until and unless we apply it and use it for ourselves. Okay. And that is really what is so important about being a leader is we need to lead ourselves. We have to, Bob says, give yourself a command and follow it. That's what discipline is. So as we go through today, you're going to rate yourself on a scale of 1 to 5 on these 6 items. So let's talk about let's talk about how you rate yourself. So a 1 is I react to the situation. I don't think, I just react, right? Like my bunny would run away if I clapped really loud, right? That's a reaction. Or that you're inconsistent with this type of thing. A 3 would be I have some structure, but it's unstable. I do it for a week and then I stop, or I go for a month and then it's over. And think New Year's resolutions, for instance. 2 weeks into January, most of the people ditch what they've done. Oh, Cindy, she loves Troward, but it's so true. If you don't apply it, the information is useless. Yes. I don't know how to unbull that either. That's funny. But you're right. If we don't apply it, it's useless. So, so give yourself a rating of 3 if you feel like, yes, I'm going. And then you're like, I stop. And then you're like, yes, I'm going. And then you stop. So starting and stopping and starting and stopping is a 3. And then 5 is you feel like you are very consistent and you give yourself a command and you follow it and you do what you say you're going to do. You show up for yourself. You're very consistent. You have a daily study practice. You follow through with it. You give yourself goal achieving activities and you follow through with them. You meditate. All these different things. You're very consistent, right? So those are the how you would rate yourself. And if anybody has any questions, just please speak up because this is for you. And I want to answer any and all questions, okay? And I cannot see everybody since I'm sharing my screen. So does anybody have any questions? Just speak up right now if you do so far. No? Yes? No? Okay. All right. So as we go into identity and your governance, how I govern myself is what we're talking about, right? So the first one, I have a clearly defined 12-month objective. So that means, do you have a goal for this year? What's your goal for this year? If somebody on the street stopped you and asked you, what's your goal for this year? Could you tell them, right? So Bob Proctor talks about the fact that we need to listen to our internal desires. We need to ask ourselves, what do I want? So if you don't have a goal in mind, then ask yourself, what do I want? What is it that is just gnawing at me? What is something that I want today? I want to work towards. Um, Earl Nightingale said that success is the progressive realization of a worthy ideal. Your goal is a worthy ideal, and each day that you move forward towards it, you are successful. So if you are successful today, and then you're successful again tomorrow, and then you're successful again the next day, you will pack on and compound those successful days, and you will have had a successful life. So it's hard to be successful if you don't have a destination. Okay. Some people have a problem asking themselves, what do I want? Because they've been told what they should want, and they think that they should want certain things, but that's not listening to your inner guidance. We all have inner guidance. Each one of us is an individual expression of the creator. We can say God, we can say source, we can say creator, we can say infinite intelligence. Each one of us is an individual expression of that. And there's a spark in us saying, do this, be her, be him, do that. And those manifest as desires. Like, I want to do something. I want to do this. And that is the spirit within us telling us this is for you, right? And it's our job to go, oh, okay, how do I do it? Right? And so our job is to figure it out. So if you don't know what it is you want, start asking, what do I want? Okay, so I hope everybody has um, rated yourself on this first one. I have a clearly defined 12-month goal. Okay. And then the second one, my objective is written and reviewed daily. So not only do you have a goal, but also do you write it down? Do you repeat it to yourself every single day? Do you spend time thinking about your goal? Do you spend time going, ooh, how is this going to come? What can I do today to move towards it? So, what this is doing is reinforcing to your imagination and to your subconscious mind that this is where you're headed. So, the more that we can spend time with our goal, the more that we burn it into our minds. We burn it into our subconscious mind. This is where I'm going. And the more excited we get about it. And Napoleon Hill talks about a burning desire. Spending time with it makes it a burning desire. Because when we do that, we engage our imagination and think, ooh, it's going to be so great when this happens. I can't wait for this to happen because when this happens, and that happens, and then this happens. And so our imagination can go wild in that way, right? Our imagination, by the way, is one of our 6 intellectual faculties that we need to develop in this leading ourself stage, okay? Does anybody have any questions about either one or two of those? Comments, concerns? You don't have to raise your hand, just start talking because I can't see you all. So rate yourself right there between 1 and 5 for the first two. And then we move into decisions. Ooh, this one. I remember when I was 10 years old and I was with my parents in a restaurant and I was standing there looking up at the menu. And my mom's like, what do you want? What do you want? What do you want? And I just burst into tears because I didn't know what I wanted. It was either a waffle or pancakes, for Pete's sake, but I couldn't handle that decision. And I decided right then and there that I was never going to feel like that ever again. I was like, this sucks. I am not going to feel like this ever again. And I'm not going to cry over waffles. So I just decided that I was going to make decisions. But making decisions is a decision in itself, isn't it? We have to decide that we're going to decide. And it's easier to decide when we have a goal. When we have this objective that we are moving towards, it's easier to go, yep, that matches. Yes, I'll do it. Or nope, that doesn't match. I'm not doing that. Right? It's so much easier. But when we don't have this goal, if we don't have this clear objective, it is so hard to hem and haw. We think about all these things. I don't know if I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna write my pros and cons and I'm gonna see. And what does that person think? Right? So we need to lead ourselves, make decisions quickly, and not renegotiate them. Napoleon Hill talks about this in Think and Grow Rich. He talks about the fact that Um, Great leaders make decisions quickly and they change them slowly, which means they make this decision because it was based on where they're going. And they change them slowly because a lot of times our paradigms and our programming and our conditioning goes, but it's not working, or what about that person, or I don't know, who are you to do this? And so these little nitpicky thoughts come in. And so when we are really focused on our decision, on our goal, we don't entertain those little nitpicky thoughts as much because, well, I'm going here. This is what I want. This is what I truly desire. And you're just chalking me out of it over here, right? And so what we understand is that I make decisions quickly. I am a firm believer in making this decision and I am not budging, you know? And the whole renegotiating them, yes, there are times when we can change our thoughts and change our decision or change our goal, but generally it's to make it bigger, right? I'll give you an example. I decided in December that or November, I don't remember which one, November or December, that I was going to start a podcast. And then somebody said, well, why don't you do it on the radio? And I said, yes. You know why? Because that matched where I was going, but it was bigger than where I was settling, right? Not that starting a podcast was settling, but I could go bigger and it matched, right? That makes sense. Cindy, I don't make my decisions quickly. I think until something clicks in my mind to do whatever. I do renegotiate to make things better though. So Cindy, I think there's some clarity right here because when we have a goal, that should not be taken back, right? So when we have this goal, we say, that's my goal and that's where I'm going. But we don't know exactly how we're going to get there. And so what happens is that, oh, I'm going to try this. And then that segues into that thing. So like me, I was said, I'm going to start a podcast. And then somebody said, how about a radio show? And I said, ooh, let's do that. And one of the things that when I decided to do my podcast, I was like, I'm going to do one every 2 weeks. And then I got this radio show and they said, do one every week. And I was like, woo, okay. Well, I didn't renegotiate and I kept my word, right? So, and Dorothy says, I make mine quickly, but I change it quickly too. Ah, so here's the question. When that happens, what is it why did you make the decision in the first place, right? So when we make decisions in the first place, are they geared towards our purpose? There are so many people who don't know exactly what their purpose is. And so goals are harder to create or to decide upon when we don't have an overall purpose that we're heading towards or a vision. And that can definitely help. Napoleon Hill talks about important and unimportant facts, right? So an important fact would be a fact that matches my decision, or my goal. So this fact helps me towards my goal. And an unimportant fact says, well, it may be true, but it has nothing to do with my goal. So you go over there in that column and I'm staying over here where things are important, right? So that can really help. So everybody rate yourself from 1 to 5 on your decisions, okay? And then the next one, well, does anybody have any other questions about decision? There were a couple in the chat that I addressed, but anybody? All right. All right, so the next one, when results fluctuate, I adjust myself before external factors. This is important. So when you see something on the outside that you don't exactly like, do you try to change that? Or do you recognize that is a reflection of what you are sending out as your signal in the world. So, right, remember I said this is a mental universe. Our thoughts are creative. So when you do when you see something in the outside world, do you try to change that? Or do you try to change yourself so you don't see that anymore? So I'll give you an example of, somebody might be in a bad marriage and they get a divorce and then they remarry and then they get a divorce and then they remarry, then they get a divorce, and it's a pattern. And not everybody does this, obviously, but what happens is that if the person doesn't change or shift themselves or the signal they're sending out, the law of vibration, they're attracting very similar people and circumstances, right? Yeah, Larry, I was divorced too, don't worry. So what happens is that if we don't change our internal structure first, we're going to go on that cycle. Or it doesn't have to be marriage and divorce. It could just be relationships, or it could be jobs. It could be experiences with people of any type. It could be um, making decisions, right? So if results fluctuate, I didn't get what I wanted, so I changed that thing that happened, right? I changed that versus I'm changing me. Does that make sense? So give yourself a 5 if you go, yeah, I changed myself, and give yourself a 1 if you're like, nope, that outside thing is changing me. Mm. Do you let outside things change you? Ooh, good job, Cindy. Yeah. Does anybody have any questions about that one? No? Okay. Then the next one, I measure personal discipline with objective standards. So what does this mean? Do you have a to-do list? Do you write out 6 goal achieving activities every single day? Do you have an organized personal development plan? Do you have things set for yourself that you perform on a regular basis? I'll use the example of a gymnast because I was a gymnast forever, like I said, and we did certain things. We did basic skills, we did conditioning, we did flexibility, we did all sorts of prehab, doing all the bands and all sorts of stuff. But we did certain things that made us disciplined. We also went to the gym every day. We climbed the rope. We did all sorts of things that required daily discipline. It also required me to be a conscientious student and monitor my time and how I used it. So I had to be disciplined outside of the gym as well. So there are certain things that you're disciplined with. Did you get all your homework done that day, right? And so do you have those for yourself and in place? Because this is very important. If you require um, somebody else telling you to do something, then that's good to know, right? As a writer and a publisher, I have to create a production schedule for myself when I write a book and when I publish a book, and I have to stay on top of it, right? One of the best ways to keep yourself accountable is to set a deadline and tell the world about it. I'm just saying, you can use that one. So if you are objective with your standards, does your discipline match up to that? Or do you just wake up and do whatever today? Right? Does anybody have any questions on that one? No? Okay. And then the last one, number 6. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Lorenzo. LA.
I'm sorry, man, I'm just getting in the house and whatnot. Um, Mary, I do on that one. Some of the other ones also, but that one particular, I'm really focusing on that as having me a daily schedule, a morning, afternoon, and evening schedule, because I found that's the only way I'm gonna get my work done. I have
Yeah.
to do it around working a job and being a family and stuff like that. But when I schedule my stuff, this work, development work, and creating the economy, I actually get it done, and that's been helping me. And I am expecting. Excuse me, I'm short out of breath. I'm out of breath, y'all.
That's
But
okay.
that's gonna help me to get more accomplished throughout the rest of the year. So
Yeah.
that's a big help. And that one I've been listening to a couple of videos about saying things and thinking things, doing things in the morning. Because like one of the guys I associate with, he said, "You win the morning, you win the day."
Hmm.
So focusing on winning the morning every morning, so I can then get more done, accomplished, and win the day.
Yeah. Yeah. And the idea behind that winning the morning is great because it sets you up with momentum, right? And then
Right.
you feel success early on, and then you're like, "Ooh, I want to keep feeling that." And you keep
Yeah.
showing up that way. Yeah.
And then the other things that I do, you can't do but so much in the morning and everything, with work and getting ready for that. But it gives you the momentum to pick up things to do throughout the day. For me, anyway,
Hmm.
be in the spirit and in the groove and
Yeah.
keep moving.
Yeah. Getting into the spirit of it. I love it. That's good. I like it. Thank you, LA. Thank you. Cindy says I'm a two on this currently. Sometimes I'm a five, but then it works its way back down to a one. Basically, a teeter-totter in this one. Yeah, and that kind of that's the ebb and flow. And I would say that sometimes when this happens, we need to bolster our burning desire. So we need to spend more time with our goal and our why for us to really be dedicated to doing these personal discipline things, right? So if we truly knew that our thoughts and feelings create what we get in this life, would we say the things we're saying? Would we think the things we're thinking? Would we spend more time imagining our end result? Would we spend more time journaling about it and really letting our imagination go? Right? Or would we spend more time spinning our wheels and throwing spaghetti at the wall? Right? And Dorothy asks, is this the same as setting up systems? Sometimes. Sometimes you can definitely set up systems to help you stay disciplined. If you have checklists or things, I first I meditate, then I study, and then I do this, and then I do that, and then you can check them off. That's a system. That's a simple system. You can set up stronger systems or bigger systems as the as the system gets bigger, right? You can set up other systems. But yeah, I would say so, Dorothy. That's definitely a way to objectively measure if you are doing the work or not, right? Yes, I showed up today. No, I did not show up on Tuesday. Yes, I showed up on Wednesday. Our mastery students have the opportunity to show up for themselves every morning at 6 a.m. Well, 6 a.m. sometime, somewhere, 6 a.m. somewhere, we'll call it that. But that's called the 6 a.m. club. And so what they do is they come and we don't turn our cameras on, we don't turn our sound on, but we're studying because that's what we do in the mornings. So then they can mark it off. Yep, I did that, right? Um, I have to buckle down. And here's the thing about buckling down is that leading yourself requires us to build a self-image of the person we're becoming and the person who has the goal that we want. Because if we are just trying to buckle down from where we are this is what I've experienced for myself is that if I look at myself where I am, let's say it's weight, for instance. Let's say it's there's a number on the scale that I want lower. And I start going, well, I need to eat salads and I need to eat nothing and I need to eat this. And I'm coming from a place of less than. I'm coming from a deficit place because I'm chastising myself before I even begin, right? But if I come from a place of this is the number I want to see on the scale, and I imagine it, and I imagine what my jeans feel like and fit like, and I imagine how great it is when I do that, and then I start doing the things that match the person who has that figure and who has that number on the scale, it is so much easier. And there's no buckling down, there's becoming. And so there's a difference there. And there is a bridge between getting started and doing the stuff because we do need to start something in order to create the momentum. But I do suggest starting in your mind first and really forming that image of what it is that you want in your physical world. So then you can start doing the stuff that matches that. Okay. Because we can never outperform our self-image. So, you're welcome. So the last one is I take full ownership of outcomes without blame. So this one is all about responsibility. Am I taking responsibility for my thoughts, my feelings, my actions, my results? Blame is so easy to dole out, isn't it? Well, that guy cut me off, and then this guy happened, and then there was construction, so I was late. I lost my keys, and so I was like, my kid left my keys in the car and drove off with them, and now I can't go, right? It's easy to just blame circumstances. That's the biggest one, and blame other people. That's the other big one, right? Especially the people that sit on the couch next to you. Those are the people that we blame first, I have found. And so we need to take full ownership of our outcomes. And this goes with when results fluctuate, I adjust myself before external factors, right? I take ownership of the outcomes without blame. I know that this was a result of something going on in here in my mind, in my paradigm. Ryan, I rarely blame other people, just the circumstances. Yeah, well, not anymore. Don't speak that out into the world. It's a mental universe. Don't even think it. I take responsibility from here on out. Does anybody have any questions about all of these assessments? Scale of 1 to 5. Does everybody have theirs? All right. Um, Now there are a couple of reflection questions that I want you to think about tonight after we're done here. One is, what decision have I been avoiding? Right? Maybe it's to sell your house. Maybe it's to start a business. Maybe it's to write a book. Maybe it's to buy a horse. Maybe it's to whatever it is, right? Um, and then kind of not just identify it, but ask why? What are the things that are holding me back from making that decision? And generally, you'll find that it's because you either don't think it's for you or you don't think that it's going to work or that something like that is the cause, which means that that's your paradigm. That's your conditioning talking. And so we need to work through that. We need to create a new paradigm for you so that you go after it, right? The next question is, what do I adjust first when results dip? See, let's say you didn't bring in as much money this month as you thought you would. What do you adjust? Do you go, oh, I gotta go get a job. I gotta go do something else. I gotta go do. Do you do or do you be? Because being is going to be reflected in your results. So if you feel like you have to massage the circumstances from the outside, you're going to continue to get the same type of circumstances around you. But if you go, oh, I didn't want that, so I got to adjust something in my mind, in my thoughts, my feelings, and my actions. My actions after my thoughts and my feelings, not just my actions. Okay. And then the last, where is my discipline inconsistent? Do I start and stop? Do I make decisions and then go, no, put the brakes on? Um, where is my discipline inconsistent? Maybe you wake up at different times every day. Maybe you go to bed at different times every day. Um, you know, whatever it might be. Maybe you study some days and you don't others. Maybe you study, but you don't apply. Those are different things, right? Maybe you're writing a book, but you haven't written in a month. It could be anything. So identify those places. And then when you're done, you're just going to take the average of those 6 scores, okay? And see what your average is. And this is for your leading yourself, right? That's what all we're talking about today is leading yourself. So you'll come up with a score of how well you lead yourself according to these questions. So if you're under 3, you need to do some more stabilization of yourself. You have to do more and do more. You did not fail, Medora. You have there's no failure. It's an assessment, not a score, not a grade. No Fs. I'm not giving out Fs. So you just need to stabilize, right? You need to start understanding your goals, clarify your goals, create that self-image that mirrors your goals, understand who that person is, create a bulletproof attitude, and engage those intellectual faculties. Have a community around you for support. And well, you probably need some accountability because that really helps, especially if you're building discipline, right? And momentum. Accountability is so important. And if you're a 3 to a 4, you need a little bit more reinforcement. So you probably need to brush up on the laws, right? Understand the laws of the universe and understand that this is I just have to start becoming. Yes. Because Cindy, what you're talking about is that you have a basic understanding of the laws, right? You have this understanding of who you really are becoming because this is a world of becoming. This is a world of we need to remember who we are and then become that in this physical world, right? So if you have a 3 to a 4, you probably need to do some more work with your self-image because self-image sets the boundaries of your accomplishments. It really does. And then if you have a 4 or 5, you have strong internal governance, which is good, which means you're ready to really build your economy out and really keep moving forward by creating more. Okay. So I would love to answer any questions that anybody has. Please let me know if I can clarify anything or if something came up and you're like, what? Dorothy, the image is what I need to intentionally focus on. Well, you bring up a really good point. Intentionally focus. Those are 2 really important words. We have to make that intention. We have to decide. Intention is to decide something, right? And focus, which is the will. That's one of our intellectual faculties. We have to bring our attention to that intention. We have to focus on that thing. So what we focus on grows. So if we are saying, I want that, and then we're like, I don't think I can. This isn't going to work. I don't know. I don't know who am I. Da, 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 da. We're focusing on why we can't instead of how we can. Okay. So you're right. We need to focus. And so when you create the self-image of the version of you who has the stuff you want, then you are becoming that version, just like what Cindy was talking about. All right. Anybody have questions, comments? Did
Mary, where can I print this off so I can do my own assessment?
Oh, did you get it? Go in the here. I just put it back in the chat, and you can just
Yeah,
go
been in
click on
there.
that in Google,
Water
and
pipe.
then you can print it out. Does that work?
Okay. Yeah, once I find the chat. Oh, there it is.
Oh, there it is. Yep. Hey, you changed your picture. Now it's Asaraf, huh? Oh, you're muted.
I got scammed on my computer. My pictures are all over the place, and I clicked into Bob, and John showed up.
Oh, okay. That worked.
So yeah, it's still
Still
good.
good.
Still a
Still
good
good.
thing.
Yeah.
Still a good thing.
Fabulous. All right. Anybody else have questions? Comments? Did this help? Do you feel like this helped you learn where you're kind of deficient or excelling? Who's excelling in something that you're excited about? Ooh, you feel more motivated. Yay, Cindy, I'm glad.
Is this like a disc profile type thing that you put together, or?
It's a Mary profile that I put together.
Oh, okay, I thought it sounded familiar. Okay,
No,
I thought it.
I just created it for this thing. So you can kind of decide where you need your work because what's there are three pieces to creating an economy, and the first one is this foundation of leading yourself. And tomorrow we'll talk about um, leading your economy and figuring out the things that can go into it. But if you don't have this foundation, or at least start this foundation of really leading yourself, it doesn't matter what you put out in the world to sell or to do because you don't have the right energy around it. Do you see what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So if you oh, Stephanie feels more motivated too. You're welcome. So if you are seeing that there is some work that needs to be done in the realm of this leading yourself, then this is where you need to start your focus because this is here. I'll give you the reason why. When we became consultants, Bob sat us down. We all wanted to help everybody, right? That's really the common denominator of what PGI consultants want to do. We want to help people understand this stuff. Bob says, change your life first. And that's what this is. It's lead yourself first, and then you can move forward, right? Oh, Cindy, I just pulled out my manuscript I was working on and stopped for a few months. I'm going, yes, start there. And as you do that, write out the self-image of the person who's published. hmm And why you want it published. Do it, do it, do it. And read that every day. Okay. Anybody else have any comments or questions? Did anybody feel like you're a five somewhere? Who has a
I
five somewhere? Go ahead,
have
Ryan.
one.
Huh.
I have one because I'm being brutally honest with myself.
Good. Well, you should be. This is objective.
I have a lot of work to do. I love this. This is a great exercise. Um, I think it's really the area that I, you know, was able to really get more clear on since you started this whole economy creators thing and you created a economy creator blueprint for me. And I got clear on, and I've always been, carrying out around my goal card and always writing it down every day. So I think the objectives and the goals are a five. It's the execution that's down in the fours and the threes and the two and a halves.
hmm Yeah.
So
I don't think you're probably alone. I
I know
don't.
what I want.
Yeah,
That's a five.
that's a good thing. That's a good thing. Some people don't know what they want, right? And so then start there. Start asking, what do I want? And listen for the answer because there's always an answer. Always, always. Anybody else have a five somewhere? Four? John's smiling. Did you get a four, John Corpus? Or are you waiting for me to say three?
Yeah. Sorry, I came in a little late, so I have to go back and go to the download the thing that you just shared. So I didn't really read myself, but as far as like you saying, do what do I really want? Yes. I mean, now I'm remember my financial goal of like having an earning $20,000 a month, and I like put that in my mind, and then all of a sudden all these ideas, people, resources start coming out, and I attracted this wealth investment program, and it's giving making me money, that kind of stuff. And it's to me it's not coincidence, like, because I ingrained that in
There
my
is no
mind. This is,
coincidence. There can't
yes,
be.
I ingrained that in my mind. This is what I want,
Hmm.
and I think about that every single day.
Yeah,
That's just
good.
one of my goals, so that's like a win for me.
Well, yeah, yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
good.
so
Fabulous.
yes,
Awesome, awesome. All
thank
right,
you.
everybody. Yeah, you're welcome. So,
Hmm.
thank you for being here today. So this replay will be up inside the member portal when it's ready. And then I'll have the worksheets for day one in there as well. And go ahead and invite anybody that you feel might enjoy this or might need it, and just invite them and say, hey, you can come to this. You can share the link with them, and we can go from there. So tomorrow we're going to talk about leading your economy and what that looks like, and we're
Mm.
going to rate ourselves on that. So
Oh,
we're going to
okay.
see how that goes. Anybody else have something to say? Ryan, go ahead.
Oh, this was spectacular. And
Hmm.
I'm challenging myself. If I
Hmm.
were a five in each internal governance, how would my day look like tomorrow?
Mm.
What would my day look like
Yeah.
tomorrow? If I was a five across the board, just get excited about it. So I'm gonna milk this a little bit tonight before I go to bed because I want to get you mentioning going through those questions and asking why is good, but I, for me, and if you're like me, you don't want to linger too long on the why because it's going to take you down a rabbit hole you don't want to go. What you need to do is just really focus on what you want and focus on
Mm.
what does a five look like in internal governance, right, Mary?
What do I look like as a
Yeah,
Correct.
what do
five?
I look like? What does a
What do
five
I
look
look
like for
like?
me? Not for
Mhm.
somebody else.
Yep. Yep.
Just for me, just for you.
Just for you. Yep.
And
U-shaped
play
economy.
exactly. And play the what if
Yep.
game. What if I'm a five all across the board? What would that look
Mm.
like? The what if game, right? The famous
Yep.
what if game.
Exactly. I love it. Good.
Yeah.
John Hart, did you have something you wanted to say?
Is there going to be a printout for each night?
Well, this is the whole thing. The one that I put in the chat is the entire thing for all week, the entire workbook.
Okay.
But
Mm.
there
Yeah.
will be, I'll inside the member portal will be just each day we'll have today will be the first step.
Mm.
Tomorrow will be the second step. I'll have
Okay.
that separate. Okay?
Yeah, just curious.
Yep. All right. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for being here.
No
And
problem.
if you have questions for me, just send me a message, email, send me a Facebook message, whatever, and I'll help you. Okay? Have a good one. We'll see you
You
later.
too. Thank you. See you tomorrow.
Okay, bye.
Goodbye.